I wanted to ask you, have you recognized any changes in the medical industry that you're going to be doing in the future of supplies that you're going to be needed that maybe a business can start up with?
So there are two, three things which we should be looking at when it comes to startup. One, I presume there is a lot of space in education. My personal opinion is that there is a lot and lots of space in education sector, and this will in fact throw open a new horizon of ideas, and they will challenge the already established principles. Because I presume a lot of teaching will now go online, and that's the new normal, which is going to be the new normal. So I presume that is a golden opportunity for everyone who is into startups. Education is the new high, I presume. So at last, I presume education will get its rightful place, because over a period of time we realized that education had gone down, I presume. So
yes,
this is one.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that scenario, because one of the things that can happen. So what I've been doing prior to this is mapping out a 90-day accelerator program. Now that the concept can go online, I can also do product placement. Ta-da! I can do sponsorship. Ta-da! And these are the things that available. So as make it like a webinar, an introduction, and then the live content is like just a 10-minute component. Okay, the rest is, okay, turn to page 50 and go through the sequence, and then turn to page 60. This is the sequence. So what I've done is, with my 90-day program, is I've mapped out the whole thing. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing right through. Okay, today's lesson is this. And then it's delivered automatically online. And then the last 10 minutes is when I come on. Any questions for today? Is there something that's difficult for you? Do you have a specific, like, and also as you're going through the process, send me a chat list or chat bot and requesting a chat. You know, the whole, so for me, the concept of accelerator staying, you know, I have to attend an accelerator is now, hey, I can do this online. I can deliver this whole accelerator experience online. I don't have to go to a specific place. So with that, the moment you take the step from, as a startup, from staying at home to stay home and build your startup from home, all of these sequences of doing everything online is just the next step. It's like a natural progression. It's not like something, oh, well, what am I going to weigh today? It's not like that, you know. You're already halfway there. It's the next step is much easier to, the next hurdle is much easier to do.
It is. I think education is the biggest change. And Dr. Tully, you did hit the nail on the head. I think that is our biggest pivot and change. And also making it reliable and trustworthy, right?
The only thing I'm worried about here is for the people doing the program, that they have the ability to be nimble and okay. Because so what I've done today, I attended an incubator class. Because I've got like 3 projects happening simultaneously. I said, okay, I'm going to take one of these projects and put it on into an incubator. So I sat through the class and went through. What they don't have is the mentor's flexibility to say, okay, research your topic enough. So I'm sitting there. So some of these people that came on and read the class is men's shaving gear. So this guy's got a new shaving thing. Okay, you're going against who are the big guys like Shaver Shed and Gillette and all the others. I mean, these guys have deep pockets. You know, they have very deep pockets. Like, seriously, you have to have a really, really good product that bang the moment, or you have to do a viral ad campaign, which is very hard to develop, to be able to make a dent into these guys. I mean, Gillette will just throw like 2 million, 5 million, 10 million at you and bang.
Well, that brings up a point. You know, we've got all of this opportunity now for new startups and businesses, and we also have to start coming up with some policies in re-engaging in the business world to be competitive. We did not or will not have the advantage that the previous companies had, where they were able to establish those relationships pre-COVID. But let's talk about that, because Abhijeet, that's some of the things that you're working on with your program, as well as how businesses can get back and going, and the policies that are being put into place. And so what are some insights that we have?
I think if you, hi, good evening all. I think if you look at the type of startups which you have and the change which you are looking forward, then the operational model of startup is already a very thin. It is not a very extravaganza model where you have big pockets. Startups, they already, they learn how to operate in a very low fund situation. Second thing which we see is what is the change which COVID has brought now into the working culture, or into assets, or into kind of assets management which we have, and kind of fund flow which we have. So startups have none of these. Neither they have a very good cash flow, neither they have lots of assets where they can do some random changes. So what do the startup has already? And what is the change which COVID-19 has brought is the important thing to read between lines to understand whether my startup will survive or not. The mainframe for all startups has to change. And what is the mainframe change which we see is you have to go online. So there were 2, 3, 4 type of startups before, but now for a startup, it would be very difficult to survive if they do not have an online version, if they do not have an e-version. So their reach, their billing, their availability. So most of the physical activity which a startup had, it cannot remain depending on. I'm not talking about any particular sector. I'm not talking about any particular technology. Mainframe and the backbone nebula of every startup would have to go through internet now. So I mean their billing, their availability, their reach, their marketing, their branding. So one very common strategy that they need to follow now post-COVID era is to have this online. Then how does it impact? Because all of them have to come on the same platform. Difficult part which comes up is they will have higher competition between each other. So a startup which has a very small area and people used to like him a lot. It can be a cake, it can be a bakery, it can be a coffee shop, or it can be anything which was fit into a gap where they were not having a very online competition with other players. They all will have to come on the main setup, into the mainframe. The coming into mainframe makes them global. So their competition, which was local, which was at the state level, which was at the country level, has suddenly have become the global level. So these kind of changes which we primarily see, a startup which was not very good with the environment, or it was having a mainframe attached to something which is very lavish and which people do not wish to carry anymore now, they may have to wrap up. So lots of bad news may come for startups, lots of high-end lifestyle startups who are there, like boutique and things which people just go for a statement, the style statement of luxury, they may have to wrap up their shops. That stage of, and this is stage of time, what I strongly believe that every startup will have to do 2 things to survive, is they will have to come online and they will have to spend some time, energy and resources to come on the internet web. And second, they will have to restructure their activities and their impact to the minimalistic world, not to the very extravagant world and something which is called luxurious or which is elite. Usually very less a startup are into that segment, but still anything, if I can contribute, please, I'll be happy to add.
Yes,
so Kim, the good news is that all your Jimmy Choo shoes and purses and everything is going to cost a lot less now.
Hopefully.
I am sure Rakesh must be having a lot of Starbucks. The cost is going to go down. That's the good news.
More than Starbucks, I have a question for Abhijeet, because you're in the the electronic highway and things like that. The airline industry is going through some terrible catastrophes at the moment because of COVID-19. I was wondering, and you talked about online, and that sparked the thought in my head, is how could these companies reinvent themselves to survive this crisis? The thought that came into my head is that instead of having these huge overheads, if they rethought their payroll structure, where there was a great pool of maybe pilots and maintenance mechanics and things like that, which they shared amongst the individual brands, all connected by an electronic highway that maybe somebody, an expert like you, could provide, they might just be able to survive this crisis rather than have redundant capabilities, so that they reorganized airline travel around and airline talents around countries where you drew on a pool of that talent, which could be utilized by all the airlines, rather than having these regular, this fixed expenses, because your salary is a fixed expense. So right. Rather than, if you cut that out, use technology to completely restructure their industry, they could probably just survive even without or with very marginal government intervention. So I was wondering whether you have any thoughts, because you were that.
I think it's a very good question, because it is not an airline industry. Aviation is not a startup, but it's still the thought and the question and concern is very genuine.
They have to reinvent. They have to become a startup.
To shrink their air travels. Why these air travels are going to shrink? Because the cost of air travel is going to be very high now. Right. People who are very urgent, people who are just going to date somebody into one city to other city, they will not go for dating. If someone is going to just to meet somebody or to do a signing, which in all natures cannot be done on a distance, because all those activities who could not be done without a physical appearance is now going to get listed, and people and the startups who are coming, they are going to give you a solution that I'll help you. You don't need to travel from Delhi to Mumbai. We'll get it done. It can be a digital signature. It can be everything other than the personal relationship like marriages and other. So in your marriage, you have to be personally available there. In these scenarios, this industry is going to shrink. And when air travel number and frequency will go down, then what pilots will do, what airline staff will do, what your ground staff will do, and what airport staff will do. It's becoming a question. That is what your Rakesh question is. Second thing which is going to grow, electric mobility is definitely going to grow, because people who were not so convinced about the viability and affordability of e-mobility are now very much convinced suddenly after this impact of nature that we should switch from diesel and fossil fuel to electric option. So same type of people, we cannot absorb these pilots, but still ground staff, air hostesses and other stewards and male staffs who are working on the airports can be absorbed by the buses, electric buses, who will be more frequently running, and they would be, they would prefer to give a very different service what used to happen into diesel and bus services. So the project which I am heading, National Highway Electric Vehicle, it has 3 hours drive from Delhi to Jaipur and Delhi to Agra. And these 3 hours drive, what all do they get on board is when they are entering into the bus and they are getting settled down, they get a hot towel and they get a cold towel. Then they get soup, they get samosa, they get snacks, they get on-board iPad in front of each seat with a very high-speed internet connection. And on that screen, you can see when you have started, where you are going to stop, which are the stops where your bus will stop, how many time it will remain there, what services you have there. You have CCD, you have barista, you have cafe coffee day, or you have Starbucks, or you have Subway. And you can even, just by scanning a barcode from your e-wallet, you can place an order also. So by the time you reach the station, your bus is going to charge there for 30 to 40 minutes. You can go for a massage and you can do a advance booking on the wheels only. And you can when you step out from that station, you can again, you'll be prompt to give a review that whether the toilet was good or not, people were nice to you or not, services were prompt or not. So how do you rate that particular charging station also comes up on the screen. And that is how a bus fleet operator decide that which station I should stop my bus. So these are the services going to give you a very different kind of nature and the change that you need to travel by road, not by air, because airline tariff is going to shoot up because of distance. And I don't know, I don't see any hope that coronavirus vaccine is coming in 1 or 2 months. It is going to take at least 6, 8, 10 months.
I think it's going to be 2 years, because some of the conversations that we've had is just because it comes out doesn't mean it's been tested, validated, and proven. And the other problem that I see is, for whatever reason, people are becoming reinfected, which is not your standard virus, right? Usually you have a virus and that's it. So either it's going dormant in the body and coming back. But I agree with you. It's a long period before we see something. So we need to come up with these solutions that provide us that social distancing that we need in travel. But I want to bring up something positive about change. Years ago, when we became this big digital program, right down to books being digital, we saw a huge problem with the postal service, right? Nobody was mailing anything anymore. You were paying your bills online. Everything was online. And nobody was even mailing letters to people. I think I was the only person still mailing thank you cards to people. And so I thought, wow, our post office is going to go under. In fact, they were talking about cutting back how many days a week they deliver. And my argument was, what about the people who use the mail for legal reasons, right? And you've got a turnaround that you have to do. But what turned it around was a new thought wave, Amazon, right? It was an online service that required what? Mailing stuff to people. So out of the blue, just because somebody came up with a new idea, it rescued that particular service. I think we will come up with something that will save the airlines. It's just, it hasn't evolved yet, but somebody's going to come up with something. People are going to want to go back to traveling just for pure tourism when this is over, because they're going to be so cabin fever. But we're going to have to come up with a safer means of travel, like, put you in a bubble in each seat, right? So you're in this clean, fresh bubble. I love the new transit system you just proposed, though. Sign me up for that road trip, because we have between us and another major city is a 3-hour drive. And my dad, when he got to where he could not see anymore, but he was still making business trips, he would come up and it was a 3-hour. He started taking the train. But he told me he liked doing the train better, because even though he couldn't see very well, he could still manipulate his computer and do work. And so he would get a lot of work done on that 3-hour road trip that he used to drive. So I love your idea, relaxing on a general road trip. I think there's a lot of cool things that are going to happen. I think solar. I think while we're sitting down here, somebody needs to be coming up with some better alternative energy resources. I am shocked that we still utilize gas and oil so much. It just baffles me that we haven't.
This is the other change of the pattern which is going to happen after COVID-19. So anything which is driven by electric energy, which is driven by solar or wind or nuclear energy, not fossil fuel, will automatically come into priority. So that's now a lot.
I love
Australia. Australia has some of the best solar cells on the planet. The normal efficiency of conversion is about 26%. Australia has managed to get it up to close to 40%.
So I think it's regulations in the U.S. that is our biggest hurdle. Is you're not allowed to convert your home to full solar off the grid power unless you've paid the utility companies to do it for you, and then they tap into it and they use it as well, so that all of your stuff is still on grid. So you can become arrested or fined seriously if you. But I did, just out of experiment, convert my shed to solar. Yeah. So my shed is, my outhouse project thing, it's all converted to solar now. Just to see how hard it was, how many cells you needed to run things, and what a lot of people don't understand, it's not just a solar panel you have to have. What comes with it is you have to have a power storage supply, like a battery, right? And that's what really provides the power source to everything. So everybody thinks, oh, you just have a solar panel. No, it's got to collect power and then become a conversion. You have to have a converter, right? And then you convert it to the power you need. Of course, this is I studied engineering, so I was aware of this. So everybody's just put the solar up. No, there's all of this stuff involved that you have to do. And that's why it's heavy. It's heavy.
Lots of up and down is visible on the cards now, I guess. I remember we started this project in India. It's a very popular project of Ujjwala, where people were getting a certain level of subsidy on their gas cylinders. Gas cylinder cost was something else to people, but government used to give some money, was contributing some money, so that people access that gas cylinder into a different lower price. One day, and I think after Prime Minister Modi, when he given a call and when he requested people who are very well off, people who are very good coming from very good income group, they should give away their subsidy. They should not take that subsidy because it is meant for poor. Crores of people, they given back their subsidy. They said, if it is costing us 1,600, then give us into 1,600. We do not want to buy it into 700 or 300 or 400 with subsidy. I believe after COVID-19, there is a different kind of trend which Kimberly given me a key is going to come, is people are going to give away their electric connections. How they are going to give away their electric connections is they have to do certain level of installations, certain plates and certain generators and storage of battery, etc., so that they can operate with the solar system. They can operate with the solar energy. And if you have operated, if you have switched your outhouse, what you are saying on solar, then lots of people who are from good income group and they can afford that one-time cost of investment for the installation of plates and battery, then this trend should start now. Because the less we are going to spend our fossil fuel, at least the climate is going to get cleaner, a lot cleaner than before. Absolutely. Prices of crude oil internationally has gone deep down. Economy, which was called to be dependent on the crude oil price, it is taking a different kind of colors and fades and wings. So let's try this. I think if it is possible, lots of people can switch to, and they can take a place that I'm not going to take energy from the electricity. I'm going to either switch to the wind energy or I'm going to switch to solar energy. Over to you, Ankit.
Abhijeet, I want to ask you about the crude oil only. I mean, so you know what happened with crude oil, and it crashed down, and China is buying a lot of crude oil. That's the news in the market. But is it a blessing or disguise at this point of time? I mean, people who have money, they should buy crude, or they should focus on electricity and generating electrics through solar and other ways. And also, on the other hand, when you say that the aviation industry is in bad shape, everyone knows about it. But post the crude crisis, is it a good time for aviation as well?
See, sometime when you take lots of controversial, dicey, but looking smart steps, then you land up into problem. Okay. And when you're asking me that China is buying lots of crude oil, China is already accused of something which they have done wrong to the world. So what they are buying right now and what is going to happen with them, nobody can predict at this stage of time. So maybe lots of crude oil which they are buying for a future, and lots of research which they were doing into their labs, they went wrong, and now they are buying crude oil, it may also go wrong. So it is very difficult to predict that what would be their future. So China has always thought if world is thinking into this direction, then China is thinking into this direction. If it is going like that, I don't know how to comment on this, but it is not a good time to stock crude oil, because anyway, the change which has came into mind, it will not bring crude oil back into fashion as much as it was. It's not a very small lockdown. It's not only a commercial lockdown or a pattern or the lifestyle lockdown. It has given a very strong impact on people's mind. And that impact is not going to let them do same sort of mistake what they were using before. So materialism is going, elite class, luxury, and lots of things which we thought and which we knew that is not much important, still we were doing. We're not going to come back and bring them into same fashion. So consumption will definitely go down. Prices will not shoot back. So always there would be a thought or there would be a wish that someday when crude oil price again shoot roof, then we'll say, okay, our economy is back now. It will not. It's not.
But there's always a false illusion.
What I see is in the US also, I think the US president has also, opted for refilling their stakes when it comes to the crude oil, because there was, I presume, there was a news brief by the US president where he was telling that this is the right time to buy oil, and they are looking to stockpile their reserves, because they said that a lot of reserves had been consumed over a period of time, and this is at this time the prices are very down, so it's a good decision to stockpile their resources.
But why?
I think it all started from US, because the US is one of the major oil consumers in the world, and I think they are not buying it so as the other countries. And also, I think what I know about the US, because one of my close friends works in the oil company in US, so he said that there is plenty of oil in America, and they can feed their country for next so many years. But the private players, they are certainly looking forward to buy it, because it could be used for industrial purpose, and there are a lot of other ways we can use crude oil. So that could be a, buying option for them. Yes, Rakesh.
Yeah, just a point. Couple of weeks ago, the place where we stay, it's rented. The owner of the property, we have a terrace. So the owner said that, we want to put up a solar panel there, and it's not going to make a difference to your electric bill, but we're going to sell it to the grid.
Yeah.
They're going to sell it to the grid. So in terms of availability of power, there's going to be a different dynamic from what has been in the past. Obviously, when there's more power available in the grid, prices will come down, because power cannot be stored indefinitely.
No.
So though it won't have an immediate effect on our prices, the grid prices, or in some time in the distant future, will come down. And the other thing is that China produces more electric vehicles than the rest of the world combined. 9,000 buses last year were converted into electric vehicles. And so if you look at it, that is an area, and India too is doing some really fantastic work. I'm sure they're doing it in other countries too. I was very surprised that they're actually penalizing people in the USA. That just—
It's not about penalizing. It's about the top 1% getting the money. So what happens is you have to contact the utility company. They come out and do a quote and say, they'll tell us, okay, we'll install the panels on your house. It's going to cost you $85,000. Here's a loan. We'll give you a loan. The loan is at 7%. So now you can install these on yours, and then you can sell back the power to us. But you're still paying out $85,000 on a 7% loan, say for 25 years. All right. So I guess it is penalizing, but what they will do is if you install it yourself, which that one panel is probably $10, right? That I did for the outhouse. I did research on this this one particular panel will, if you stack your batteries right, if you know how to do it, you can service a 3-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms, pumping water, right? Because that's another thing that uses a lot of energy is pumping your water. So you can service a 3-bedroom house during the day perfectly well. And if you get the right battery cells, you know, like you said, storage and everything, you can pretty much run your house 24/7 if you have good sun source. But they won't let you install it yourself. They won't let you pay for it yourself. When I know I can go get the panels, the batteries and everything, I could probably do the whole house for under 10,000. But they don't let us do that.
Confuse me, because this is supposed to be free enterprise, not curb enterprise.
No, but the U.S. is for free enterprise, and we're not. We are not free enterprise.
But I'll tell you, there's a program running by Indian government. I think Abhijeet would elaborate that how we can, create your own solar power. Abhijeet, can you elaborate about the program? The PPE program with the
program for conversion of your energy, but the program, the mindset which I mentioned, that we should give up our electric connection, this kind of has not came into form of a program as of now. Right now we have similar kind of setup which Kim said, that you get a loan for certain percentage, and then you install the energy which that plate produce, it goes back to the grid, and then grid also gives you a payment. So, but it is not very popular. As of now, the percentage of solar power conversion and people who have opted for this is not very high. But what I'm saying is very close to what Kim is it's not very high. What I'm saying is very close to what she said is, what do we need actually? How big house we need? How many lights we need? What are the things which we actually need to live? Is something which need to come back into the reconsideration. You only need one life partner, and I believe 1 or 2 kids. For maximum 1 or 2 kids, it's sufficient for you to handle. Then it is how much place you need to cook or to dance, or I don't know how big houses we have, 4 floor, 8 floor, 10 floor. So it depends on how much money you have in your pocket. And then you go keep on building and building, and then you have 2,000 lights, and then you have a power consumption of 1,000 kilowatt in your, and 3 people or 4 people are living there. So these mindset need to be bring on the reset. We all have gone through that age where we do not want to live with so much frills and fancy things. We just want to live with a loved one. A candlelight date is more important and more valuable than a 5-star date. So we need to rethink and reinvent the wheel from that. What we are doing is needed or not. Sometimes we are doing and it is causing lots of problem for government and grid and multiple layer of problem. Why do we need this? If you can manage with a small solar plate and it can enlight your 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom hall, which you will eventually need when you will have kids. Initially, 1-bedroom hall will also work for you. So it is something that has to work.
And it's so simple. The solar application is not as complicated as regulations make it. So it doesn't have to be, to me, I think they need to back down on forcing us to pay the utility company to install it. I think we should get the kit. I can get the kit. I know engineers who pull together the kit. They put everything, including a water pump. So if you want to get, water filtered into your home, like refilter your water to add alkaline, which is very good for you to help prevent cancers. And it also filters out a lot of impurities in the water. So the one kit, is like $2,500. It has a solar panel, and it would run solar that you need, the power conversion that you need for your house. You add maybe 2 or 3 more panels to it, like solar panels, and maybe 10 batteries, or you buy the Tesla battery, and you're good. That's it. It's that simple. It should cost $85,000 on a 7% interest loan. We need to get back to realism. Like you said, we need to get back to necessities. What do we really need in our lives? Ever since this happened, I've cut back, like you said, cut back considerably. I don't need all of those things.
Little easy, Kim. if it is not a enterprise, if it is not a factory, if it is not a commercial property or it's not a commercial electricity connection, then necessarily it should be into some limits. And people need to learn and live into it. I liked Rakesh yesterday or day before yesterday comment in observation very well, that we need to understand that what is our population, how much space on earth we are taking, and how much we are entering into a space of other species. So as a species, if we are not going to enter into some other space and we are going to remain into cities, then obviously we are going to live very close to each other. And when two living beings are living very close to each other, then not only a viral infection, lots of infections are invited. So if you go to a village house or if you go to a place with a farmhouse, you feel better, you feel good and airy and very clean environment. And how many people you see into villages? There are very less people who live into villages. All of them, they have came to metros. They have came to big cities. So this thought of coming to city, living together into one flat, 20 people are living, and then there are dormitories and there are lots of things which we see around. Why all these things are required is again an agenda should be on the revival, and not only for the personal point of view, from the governance point of view also, government should review. That's why my question that day was very, I think it's my pain, that what is the type of government we are going to get now? Socialistic or left or right or totalitarian or a kind of Nazi government, or which kind of government we are going to get, who is going to tell and give us very strict instruction. You cannot grow more than this. You cannot occupy more than this. You cannot consume more than this. So if as a human being we have to not want to get into such kind of lockdown again, then we need to think about what we are doing to ourselves, our community, and our relationship with the nature.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be the government that drives our leadership. I hope we get a human government. I hope it's not leftist or righteous or Democrat. I call them craps, or Republicans. I call them con artists. I want humans. We've had this party thing. I felt like we played football, baseball for centuries. We've never made any progress for humanity. We've only made progress for parties. And Rakesh, I think you had something to say.
No, I was applauding what you were saying. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.